Hey guys, good evening. Wish I was with you at the Hempstead Theater. I had so much fun last month, talking to all you folks and getting to know a lot of the folks that are engaged in the fight that brings us all together. I wish I could be with you tonight, but I can't. As some of you may know, I'm also running for school board in Katy, and I had a campaign thing, but when I said I couldn't be there, I said I got to tell these folks on tape what's going on. And so this is my studio here at Prairie View A&M University. Folks who share a common interest in this fight, because this university and this town are going to be seriously impacted, just like Hempstead is, by this garbage dump. You know, if you were with us last month, I don't like the word landfill. I like garbage dump, because you know, you can paint it and make it look all pretty and put a building in front of it, but when you put 15 stories of garbage in place, it's a garbage dump. It's not a landfill. Okay, so folks are probably asking, well, Wayne, what you been doing since last month? Last month you told us that there are special prosecutors being appointed, and as I promised, there was. The District Attorney Elton Mathis, who I can't figure out from one day to the next what his alleged conflicts are in this deal, but nonetheless, he has appointed special prosecutors out of the Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office to conduct an investigation into complaints that mainly came from me and from Glenn Schenkel out of Austin. One of the things I wanted to do early on was inspire public officials to help us, or at least get out of the way. Mr. Mathis has done the I got out of the way part, and now is giving us the opportunity to go straight to a special prosecutor. Right now, those special prosecutors are focused on potential violations of the Open Meetings Act and the Public Information Act. I promise I won't get all that technical with you, but I want to talk about those laws again, because they're the laws that are getting us in the door for a much bigger fight over whether or not it's legal to put a landfill where they want to put it. So understand, folks, that all this stuff may seem like you're going this way, that way, but it's all part of the same fight, and I'll explain. I am meeting tomorrow morning, in fact, with those special prosecutors, and I'm going to lay out with them some of the things we discovered early on. You remember Allison Bass. It's really interesting. I have seen all these letters that were written to Commissioner's Court applauding the decision to hire Allison Bass. Some of you in the audience probably wrote it, because you thought the commissioners were hiring this law firm to help you fight the landfill, and your public officials were going to defend you, and they hire this Austin law firm that's supposed to know all this stuff, and they're on your side. And I've read some of those letters, and I understand why you folks feel stabbed in the back, because that law firm has not only not helped you, but has been engaged in a battle ever since to keep you from finding out the truth. Keep you from finding out what you really want to know. Who knew what and when about this landfill, and why did they keep it a secret? Was it political? Was it corruption? A combination of them? Who knows? But we're going to find out. I have promised you last month, and I say it again to Judge Beckendorf and Commissioner Pekluda and Commissioner Kitzman, we are looking at everything you guys have done on this landfill deal and everything else. Now, small victories, folks. As you probably know, we're fighting over records. I asked for records in early February. Just last week, I was allowed by your heartbroken county judge to actually look at my first public records. These are actually records that the Attorney General had to tell them more than a month ago were public records. But you know, all that putting paper in a stack stuff takes a long time. So it took them a month to let me see those records. They have not shown me document number one about the other things I've asked for. Emails from the county judge and from Commissioner Kitzman, who I'm told in his computer has a special little inbox just on the landfill. Let's see those emails, Commissioner Kitzman. You can give them all to us right now. You can, in fact, tonight I'm not there. I'm sure you could drive over to the theater and just drop them off and save us all a lot of fighting. Okay? But I know, because I've talked to your IT guy, you had a special box just on the landfill for emails. And we're going to see those emails, whether we have to fight you on this battlefield or another one, we're going to get them. Now, we have seen a few emails from County Judge Beckendorf's email box. Unfortunately, they're emails from June 2011 going forward. I'll tell you in a minute why I'm focusing my attention on stuff that happened much earlier. I think you'll get it. But we saw an interesting email about a meeting that was going to be at a law firm, Adams Law Firm in Katy, in early June. This is weeks before the big public announcement of the landfill, okay? So this is all a big secret, not to your public officials, but to all you folks. But on the email, I noticed the person that was coordinating the meeting was a lady by the name of Robin German. And you might say, oh, okay, what does that mean? Well, for those of you who don't know, Waller County has an elections consultant. They have a special contract for her. She makes close to $80,000 a year to help make sure your elections are good. So folks actually all have a chance to vote and nobody's voting rights are denied. She was hired right about the time Judge Beckendorf became county judge in January 2011. Well, her contract says she's the elections consultant, also says she can do some special projects that I'm sure you folks would assume have something to do with elections. But what we discover from that one email, and that's why even the littlest emails might seem like a threat to you folks to crack investigative people like me, becomes a big deal, because she's the one planning the meetings, which means she's involved in the landfill discussions that nobody said was really going on. Okay, so I went to Debbie Holland, who is the county clerk for Waller County, who is the person that is in charge of Robin German. And so this was just last week. And I said, so Debbie, why is this elections consultant doing landfill work? She said, well, you know, the judge needed like some secretarial assistant help, so I let her do it. And I said, well, how do you justify her salary if you just like lent her to the county judge? We're paying her to do election stuff, not be a secretary on the landfill deal. But you know what? That's another fight you guys should have. My focus is on what else Robin German knew about this landfill deal. So I asked Debbie Holland, under state law, I want to see Robin's emails. Now, of course, you find out that Robin doesn't use a county computer for her work. She uses a personal computer. But you know what? One good thing about the state law is that if the emails are about public business, even on a private computer, we get to see them. So I've notified Ms. Holland and the special prosecutors that I want to see all of Robin German's emails. Again, you might think, well, so she was a secretary. What does she know? Well, you know what? I'll let the courts find out what she knows. But you know what? Maybe her emails will tell us things that Judge Beckendorf won't, certainly won't. Maybe her emails will tell us just how far back this landfill stuff is going on. Let's talk about that. Because if you buy the commissioner's stories and the judge's story, which I must admit I don't, but if you buy it, then they find out there's this landfill. They all scurry together and come up with an ordinance to try to make sure they limit where it's going to be. And oh no, that the Green Group, the Pintail folks, had already submitted their paperwork to Austin. So by the time they got this landfill down together and voted on it, it was just a few days too late. That's their story. All these smart guys, these public officials who have lawyers and all this stuff, just got fooled. Okay? Because that's really what they want you to believe. They want you to believe they really had the best interest at heart. They were going to fight this landfill, and oh my gosh, time just got away from us, and those sneaky landfill people just got in there a couple of days before we could figure out a way to stop them. Well, we already know a lot about the heartbroken county judge and just how long they were working on a landfill deal. Otis Stiers, former county commissioner, talked to him in a pickup truck outside Denny's a few weeks ago. That was where he decided we'd meet. So I met him, and we talked about his trip to Georgia to look at the landfill there from the same company. Now, I don't know about you. This is months before this public discussion, right, of a landfill, before this sudden need to have an ordinance, and this commissioner is going to Georgia to look at a landfill. Now, maybe it's just a coincidence. It happened to be the landfill owned by the same guys. I don't know. I'm not really a big believer in coincidences. But Otis Stiers goes, and so does your county engineer. They both fly to Georgia. And I said, well, okay, well, I'd like to see the travel records, because one of the reasons you have travel records in a county is so that you know where your public officials are going. But of course, that would have alerted people, right? If someone had turned in a record and said, you know, Otis is going to Georgia for the day, and here's what it's going to cost, everybody would have known in March of 2011, oh, something's going on with the landfill, okay? Well, they didn't want you to do that. So Otis says that him and the county engineer paid for this plane ticket themselves. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't like to pay for things that I'm doing for business. And I appreciate public service, but I'm not sure Otis is that much of a public servant kind of guy. That Otis would fly to Georgia on a plane ticket, probably last minute, so you know it's got to be expensive, right? Flies to Georgia and look at the landfill. So Otis said, well, the receipt's on my American Express. So I said, well, Otis, let's find it, right? If you can't find it, I'm sure you can call American Express, and they'll be glad to send it to you. I'm still waiting, Commissioner Stiers. Some folks out there say, well, okay, so Commissioner Stiers isn't there anymore, and we hear you're asking all kinds of questions about tax records and about foreclosures, and you want to look at emails that have nothing to do with the landfill. And so, like, Wayne, what are you up to? Well, I learned a few tricks along the way as a reporter. Sometimes the way to, you know, they say a way to get to a man's heart is through his stomach, okay? Well, it's sort of like that in investigating stuff, because sometimes you find something else that becomes a pressure point, something they're worried about. Now, they don't seem, if you've noticed, to be that worried about the landfill, right? Oh, we're heartbroken folks, wish we could have done better for you, and we really are sorry, okay? Now, none of us believe that, I know, but maybe there's something else they are really worried about. So I ask for a lot of things. I'm hearing all kinds of information, and I ask you tonight, keep those calls coming. Keep those cards and letters coming, folks, and tell the folks there at the Hempstead Theater, tell the special prosecutors, tell me, tell anyone you think is on our side about stuff you're hearing about the public officials. I'll give you a quick case in point. Commissioner Stiers abstained on the Brookshire Recycling Center. And you go, wait a second, I know recycling centers and landfills are kind of close, but what does it have to do with it? Well, I want to know why. You abstained, but I see no documents as to why you abstained. So I told Commissioner Stiers that down the line, the folks who ask the questions about these landfills may be meaner than me. They may have badges and guns. And so here's your chance to tell us the whole story, okay? Now, Commissioner Stiers knows a lot about what happened early in 2011. Heck, he went to Georgia, right? Just for a day trip to Georgia. You folks do that, right? You go on a plane and go to Georgia for a couple of hours to see a landfill out of the blue when there's no landfill coming to Waller County, right? So Otis knows, and he said the county judge asked him. So that tells us that in March, maybe February, maybe earlier, county judge is thinking about landfills. I wonder why. Maybe he heard that there was a landfill coming. Well, better yet, maybe he already had been contacted by his friends at Pintail, a Green Group, and maybe they said, so here's the deal. We're bringing a landfill to Waller County, and Beckendorf and Kitzman said, well, we don't want it down near Brookshire and Katy and all those places, so why don't we put it up at Hempstead? You know, let's let the folks over there at Prairie View and Hempstead deal with it, okay? Maybe it's as simple as that. And you know what? If that's what it is, we're going to find out, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. In the meantime, we know the judge knew months earlier. And I called again on Judge Beckendorf, Mr. Heartbroken, to do the right thing. Let's see all the records, Judge. We're fighting over it. And you know what? The taxpayers of Waller County are paying every single time those people at Allison Bass, and I'm being kind because I'm on tape, those people at Allison Bass send me nasty letters. Okay? Come up with all kinds of reasons why we can't see the public's business. So right now it seems like it's slow, I bet. You're going, God, when are we going to close this landfill deal down? When are we going to stop it? Right? Okay, so understand, folks, there's several fights going on. They're all sort of related. I'll tell you how what I'm doing is related to what the lawyers are doing. The lawyers are fighting the battle at the TCEQ, trying to argue all kinds of technical stuff, because I think there are problems, from what my limited knowledge, there are problems. I think one of the problems they have is the traffic, okay? I think they can't get around Highway 6 290 traffic. They're going to put a landfill right on Highway 6, where all these A&M kids from Texas A&M, real close to Hempstead, all these kids are going to be using the same road. That's a problem for them. That's something that the CCQ has got to be worried about it, and that's why we hear stories of them trying to fix that by trying to convince somebody to sell them some land along 1488. Don't play with them. Don't, even if there's money in it for you, and they apparently got money to burn, they hire all these fancy lobbyists, don't help them, okay? So your lawyers are focused on this TCQ permit. Well, one of the advantages that Glenn Schenkel out of Austin, and now I have, is that we're doing things our way. But I'm discovering things that will help the lawyers, that will limit discovery, and down the road will limit the cost of the lawyers. Okay? You understand why? Robin German is a classic example. I mean, I just happened to notice she's the one planning this meeting. And so I said, well, Robin German must be pretty important on this landfill deal. Maybe we could find out what she was doing. Because look, in every one of these deals, there's people who like email, like Commissioner Pekluda doesn't like email. I looked at his internet history, okay? There wasn't any, okay? So Commissioner Pekluda doesn't like emails, okay? Whatever. But Robin German may love to email. Obviously, Commissioner Kinsman likes to email. He has all these emails about the landfill, okay? So what we're doing now will be used by not only the lawyers for the city of Hempstead, but the lawyers for the TCEQ on this landfill. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll find out a little weakness they have about the landfill. Maybe in an email, somebody slipped and said, boy, I hope they don't find out about this little known rule or law that could mess up this whole landfill deal. Okay? So what we're doing now matters. Now, sure, are we investigating other things with the landfill? You're absolutely right. But we are focused, and we will be over the next few weeks, hopefully next time I'll be with you live. We're focused on trying to find out what happened between January 2011 and June 2011. Who went where with whom, whose buddies are whom, where were their meetings. I've heard the Hilton Garden Inn, I've heard other hotels in Katy. Everybody has third-hand, second-hand stories about what deal was done by whom. We're going to get a factual detail of what happened. And I promise you folks, it is just the beginning. Stay strong. I told you guys last month, and I wasn't kidding, these fights aren't over in a month, okay? This is a long, protracted battle. We're up against people who can afford million-dollar lobbyists, okay? They're like cockroaches, okay? If you don't stop them, they're going to spread, okay? If you spray some good stuff on them and let them know they're in for a fight, they might move on. I heard at the court hearing a couple weeks ago, they asked about me. They asked one of the lawyers for the city, well, what's this Wayne Dolcefino guy doing? Which means they've noticed me. And that's exactly what we want. I'll see y'all hopefully next month in person. God bless everybody.